Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the highlight match of the week here for HGC Korea. My name is Wolf. With me is G-Club. Tonight, we will have Ballistix versus Tempest, the most important match of the week. How are you feeling about it?
I'm super happy to be back, and it's going to be an epic match. And usually when we talk about Korea, 3-0s, we know who's going to win, another stomp, boom, 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 and we go home. And we go to EU, we go to NA, a lot less 3-0s. Well, what's happening? What did I miss yesterday, Wolf? I watched the VOD.
Well,
something happened last night.
We had another win for Miracle over Gen G. They were able to take it with a 3-2 score. We had Miracle defeat Ballistix already. So now the whole landscape for this upcoming BlizzCon qualifier is changed. So you're probably thinking, well, it's a little bit late for Miracle. Can they still go to BlizzCon? Yes, they can because of the playoff format. All they have to do is win through that gauntlet.
Mm-hmm.
And this means that for those top three teams that always represent Korea, Tempest, Ballistix, and of course Gen G, taking a look at the standings right now, they're still top three, right? But we live in a world where second seed becomes so important now because Miracle has already beaten Ballistix and Gen G. They could beat Tempest, and if Ballistix or Gen G takes that third place seed as we go into playoffs, Miracle gets a chance to take that away from them. That's a terrifying thing. I mean, whoever loses this match tonight may lose to Miracle, and Miracle may take their spot at BlizzCon. If we think about the changed sphere here at HGC Korea.
And because Miracle was able to beat Ballistix as well, if Ballistix loses to Tempest, they may not be standing in that third place anymore, and that has never ever been the story for Korea, where we actually have these teams from 4th and 5th almost tying up to top 3. That has never happened. There was always a line we could draw after that number 3, but you could see 7s all across the 3 teams.
Yeah, and that is, history in the making potentially if Miracle and Blossom can take that spot away for BlizzCon qualifier. Seed qualification is coming up in a few weeks. Here are today's matchups. As mentioned, the big one is the first one, Ballistix versus Tempest. The next match to follow will be Supernova versus Blossom. So it'll be a very exciting day of matches. Blossom coming off a very one-sided 3-0 over Feliz yesterday, hoping to repeat that same performance tonight versus Supernova.
And tonight, I actually cannot tell. I cannot pick the favorite of either matches. Ballistix, they have looked really weak against Miracle, against other teams as well. Tempest, they had some flukes, even against the lower tier teams. They got their 3-0 wins, but if you look at the games, it went to 20-something minutes. Sometimes they had no forts, no keeps destroyed, and then they just got one last Dragon Knight, and then they just brought back the game. Those are types of games that we could actually see from the top 3 teams, except for Gen G, who actually lost to number 5 yesterday. So Korea certainly has been creating a lot more stories, and I know you're a big fan of stories.
I am a big fan of stories. I'm a big fan of breaking the tier list that we have in Korea right now. So I'm excited for this matchup because, as you mentioned before, when we look at matches in Korea, you could always say there's a favorite. Always. For the entirety of the HGC format. Today, looking at Ballistix versus Tempest, looks like 2017 L5 versus MVP Black. It's one of those matches where you cannot definitively say today who is the favorite. You cannot. So it's very exciting. Both teams have strengths and weaknesses. I think the big strength of Ballistix is that they still have specific roles. They have players that can flex onto the newer meta that's developing, which we'll talk more about when we get into draft. But Tempest's weakness is that they're still trying to figure out what their roles are, and this is a terrible time for that when you've got Blossom and Miracle head on your heels. Ballistix seems to be somewhat returning to full form right now. It's rough.
I want to point out 2 different weaknesses between the teams that's happening in the meta right now. Ballistix, we have some overextensions by Hooligan at times. He is the only one that goes around. He got 7-sided, and he's the only one that falls. But they don't even get to teamfight at times. They have the same roles, but their condition of the day goes up and down so many times. We can't really say how they are bad, but they are really good as a team. But sometimes they have these kind of mistakes. And Tempest, their roles, as you mentioned, they're not set on the roles. And in this meta, where we can kind of see Sonya slightly coming back up there, it's impossible to ban Sonya. If you ban Sonya, your ban pick's basically screwed up so much you can't even fix that.
Yeah, it's It's so incredible how Miracle's changed the meta with Sonya coming in with Nacho Jin, who's never until this season been an off-lane player or a melee player. He's always been ranged flex. Now playing the melee flex means that he's showcased that Sonya with several different supports can be very viable. And Sonya is a hero that Lockdown specifically played a lot in the past in 2016. And today, you know, he may do that again because he has been flexing over to that top lane with Good being the main DPS. That is the only thing we know for certain on Tempest. Our first map of the night will be Dragonshire. We will have bans on Volskaya Industries and Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Yes, and that continues because Jungha was also a great Sonya. Whenever all of these other heroes were cut down, he would always just go to Sonya, push that lane all the way to the core. And he's really good at that. He's not really shown on camera, but he always does his job. This map is where the Haka comes rising up in tier a little bit more.
These two teams, you know, Ballistix was made when Tempest won 2016 Global Championship in Sweden. It was that day that L5 was announced as a squad, and Tempest was always in Ballistix' shadow after that moment. They were the global champions, but they did not make it to BlizzCon. They did not win another global title. They never have since then. And today, they're fighting to make sure they can get that second seed to BlizzCon so they can skip playoffs. That's the goal here. This match is so important. And they can finally say, for the first time in a long time, this team is stronger than that L5 roster if they could win this best of 5.
Tempest, they're very close. So they choose Maiev, they choose to ban out Maiev instead of Deckard or anything else. And there's another tool of Hanzo, which they should be concerning about HCSC's hero pool, which they cannot target as much because we have Thrall, because we have possibly have even Sonya. And they do pick up that Irel peeling with Raynor. Even before, it's slightly targeting SC and Jungha at the same time.
Yeah. So removing those heroes that SC is so capable on, that he's so comfortable on, is one of the things that teams have been doing against Ballistix. He will grab the Phoenix early. Would very likely be an SDE pick because he's not comfortable on the Phoenix,
but I think today is the day where you have to step up. Even SC can play Phoenix. I'm not saying it's bad. He just personally does not like to play as much of the other players compared to how high Phoenix is actually in the DPS tier list.
Yeah. So it's a very good pick, I think, for Ballistix at this stage. Phoenix is very powerful in the 4-man rotation, does tons of damage, and can trade up with his shields, also his wave clear. We'll see the Mouth ban. That's been one of the common counters to Urel in this meta, along with Diablo, of course, but that's been removed. For Tempest now, we're looking for what's going to be the matching support for Hyde.
I think it'll be just Garrosh very likely in this case, because the tank pool is just becoming smaller and smaller, and Garrosh is open, Nubarak taken away from Sign. But he can just go Malfurion if he wants to pair that up, but Whitemane, I think they're thinking about the next step, which basically seems like a mage possibility from Ballistix, and we saw that great Whitemane basically countering Li Ming. She cannot get the kill because that burst heal.
And this is where SC will be tested, because if they want to run a mage here, it will mean that he will have to play Phoenix. So if they want to run Li Ming, which is a fantastic choice for this map, they have a Nubarak on their side. They can set up a lot of early engages. They can chunk down those walls, and it will be the Li Ming.
Yes.
So now SC has to play Phoenix, a hero he's always avoided. He's got a high win rate on his few games played, but it's a hero he doesn't feel comfortable with, and he's pushed out of his comfort zone now on this map. Very exciting stuff here.
Yeah, with Anubarak and Deckard, we could see that they were trying to go for the mage next time. And that's why we had Whitemane. Yesterday, Reset was trying to dive in against Miracle, and he never got the kill. He killed himself. Because that Whitemane, that's for plea, it's basically like a semi-ancestral healing when you have enough mana. And against, they pick Li Ming after that Whitemane. Let's see if he can actually focus perfectly and get those kills.
It's going to be all up to SDE. He is one of the greatest Li Ming players to have touched the game, along with others like Reset in the past. Let's find out if SC will show us a deeper hero pool tonight. He's played This season, 7 heroes total versus Good's 10, so a much significantly smaller hero pool. He's 6-2 on the Phoenix, a hero he's much more uncomfortable with than even heroes like Vala that are much less meta. And he will be on the Phoenix here, SDE on the Li Ming, as expected.
So we do have Ballistics. Blue left, Tempest on the right, in the red. If you look at the team comps, it's really scary what we have for both sides. But if you look at the front line, much more CC. So much more CC that could pair up really easily from Ballistics. And once they have that combo into one, the burst from Phoenix and Li Ming, it makes it so much easier.
It's insane. But in a longer fight, I think Tempest with Hanzo and Raynor together, they win the longer fight with that white main healing you were talking about. They've got Urel for extra armor. So there's trade-offs on both sides. I think the early game especially is going to be where Ballistix is most terrifying because of that CC you're talking about. Lockdown's going in here. You can see the cube and this root are going to make such a huge difference in these early exchanges, but they don't have follow-up damage. And again, longer fight, more sustainable damage from Hanzo and Raynor.
And that's why we actually have Decker to actually do all the zoning. When they fight in the small near that camp at the bottom, it will be really hard.
It's really cool to see how Ballistix is moving right now. They were escorting Li Ming to do orb damage to the bottom wall because they thought Tempest would come down, so they were hiding in the brush there. In fact, Tempest was rotating top to try to go for a gank onto Jungha, and it did. Neither party really succeeded, but Li Ming did a little bit of damage. Look at how aggressively Hooligan is Noblesse invading here, just trying to make sure Tempest stays honest.
And for the time, he knew that side was wave clearing in the mid, so he had that extra time to just get an extra vision for the team, just to test out how the opponent is feeling. It's the first game, so you do have to kind of test your opponent, see who's the weak link of the day, because they're all so good. If they are in perfect condition, okay, but that's how you get a feel at the beginning.
Yeah. Look at how much extra experience Ballistix holds right now, just from being a little bit more passive with the rotations. Hooligan getting very low here. It looks like he does have enough shield. He's going to try to turn around. He saved Burrow Charge because he wants to maybe be able to come back in. Sign caught here, but he's got so much armor. I don't think they can blow him up. Meanwhile, Dragon Knight is channeled. Oh, there's the full range orb. That's going to be a kill there right away. So Ballistix will take first blood. They'll retake the Moon Shrine. And a small advantage here in the bot lane. This push here with Siege Giants and Li Ming's sieging power, which is one of the reasons why she's super powerful right now, makes such a big difference.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Wolf. I think he turned back and got hit.
He may have. I mean, it looked like that.
He didn't have the one going over the wall because he used it about 10 seconds ago. But I think he was just lacking caution there. Just not really thinking about the maximum range of the orb, how much damage it can actually do.
I'd have to check again to know for sure, but sometimes, in some rare cases, you want to walk into the orb to reduce damage when you know it's going to hit you no matter what. But I don't think this is one of those cases.
That was
I think
maximum
it was a mistake.
range.
Yeah, I think it was a mistake. Sometimes these things happen, you know, when you're playing at this level.
Or maybe he just thought that Sign was going to block it for him, but Sign dodged it. So Hans is the one. That's the first kill. But with that rotation, they don't really get too much. They're trying something else, focusing on lockdown. Body
block and the slow. He's going to have to jump into second, but not if he gets rooted. Does get rooted, and that is going to be another kill here in the top lane for Ballistix. Meanwhile, the bot lane is being pushed hard. Tempest was able to, during this rotation, they identified it, they knew it was coming, and they were able to take this bot neutral camp. The Wizard here is giving everyone some spell damage reduction, so that's going to help slow down SDE's defense. The trade, I think, is better overall for Ballistix. Had Tempest saved Urel in the top lane, had that lockdown actually lived, I think we'd be in a different scenario here. But because, in fact, he was taken out, I think Ballistix is going to get way more out of this. But as I say that, they're pushing hard. They got Raynor over here.
Yeah, they have sustained. But the difference is they pushed about the same, but Urel, because she died, she missed out on a lot of top wave experience. And that's the experience difference that we actually see here.
Yeah.
And even getting the fort, so they go pretty far ahead.
I think Tempest needs to be careful about sticking around this long when they don't have minion waves. Just a second ago, the fort aggroed. They got slowed. SD went forward. If Hooligan was ready to commit there, it might have been a kill. Either way, they survive for now, but yes, the fort is done in the top lane. The extra minion waves missed there by Yrel do stack up. We'll have the Dragon Knight ready for a potential unleash here. The mid wave does deny Jungha from channeling now.
And Garrosh is getting the bottom as well, so it's not much of a push, but Yrel has to go back. Oh, camp actually cleared by the minion wave, so that was not the best worst case scenario for them. Ballistix, they do slightly have the control because they're going for the early camp. They're a step ahead in the macro compared to Tempest, but it's really hard to get the Dragon Knight still.
Yeah. Gonna have to take more than just an initial camp control to actually secure a Dragon Knight. Another pick or level 10. That's gonna be the win conditions that Ballistix is looking for here. It's channeled at the moment for Tempest, but there's no way they can unleash. They're going to use this threat, though, of the unleash to try to push bot lane, clear this camp. They have the camp advantage right now. Dami's just going to stay down here to make sure he can hold it. The problem for Tempest is during this neutral zone where they're trying to pressure a little bit, they're not getting enough, and Ballistix is just going to walk away with 10. Lockdown's got to be careful. There's no fort to hide behind here.
I think they're baiting for another potential gank, but they actually rotated down. Because Leeming was getting super pressured, this fort will be going down if not the help of his teammates.
Yeah, they gotta be
come
careful.
a little late.
Yeah,
they do manage to keep the fort, but the rotation is coming from Blaze.
And 10 is up, so this is a scary moment. Slow, and here comes the follow-up stun. He's gonna have to hit it. Good.
Oh, okay, does not go in. Use the cocoon. Hooligan takes a lot of damage, but managed to escape. Even a bunker, that's a lot used, but
Wave
they're
of
10.
Plus is really good, and that's gonna get the kill here onto Dami. 10 is all you need to force a fight like this. They're going to miss the channel here. Lockdown is too late. So this is a wasted rotation. It's going to cost them a minion or two in the top lane where they so desperately need that final experience for 10.
Just a second too late on Hanzo's movement all the time. I think that he was not really thinking about the damage once again. He was out way too far ahead. I know you can jump over, but if you're second late, and you can try jumping over, but you always get caught in the CC, in the animation. So you do have to be careful all the time, and he went down twice already.
Yeah. Well, now they need to stabilize here, find a way to fight over the next objective with the heroics that they have. A slight heroic advantage at the moment. They're going to look for a fight here, but there's just so much CC and so much zoning with Deckard Cain, as you were mentioning earlier in the draft. Look at this. Lockdown is so forced to pop his heroic here, and even after he does, he's very much in danger. Does barely survive here. Scarlet Aegis is dropped. But look at the burst damage that Ballistix can drop out here. They have to be so careful.
They have the zone, but every single heroic is on cooldown for them. Tempest, they have arrow and the taunt. So Ballistix, even though they have much better HP management, they are backing up for a few seconds, waiting for that rotation. Nice hammer there for Lockdown.
They have to get kills with the CC. As you can see, what they're trying to do here with this route is to pick either good or Lockdown, forcing them back here, forcing out this, or attempting to use this Lornado to grab a kill. If they don't get a burst kill immediately through all that CC, then in the longer fight, you know, Tempest is just going to burn them down, bleed them out, and take control of the mid lane. So that's why as soon as those CCs don't lead to a kill, they kind of back off.
Tempest, they actually managed to, that was a dangerous situation, even though they had a few extra tools to actually work on, because they were back in macro, they had to send one bottom, which was tank. So if they're caught in CC, there's no one else to actually save them. They don't have a Blaze. They do have another defender, but that was actually that was on cooldown. And back then, the Aegis was on cooldown as well. So that was a dangerous situation. Very good management of all the skills to back it out.
Yeah. Well, during this small interim, even down a level here, they're able to take the neutral camp. And they're looking to use this to shove down and finally eliminate this fort. They don't have good siege. They have sustained damage with Raynor and the Hanzo. If they can get onto the fort, they can kill it easily. But getting there is the problem as they slowly push this in. Yrel is looking to potentially jump over the wall here. Lockdown set up. And they just unfortunately do not have enough. They have to back away. But during this time, they forced a 5-man rotation down to keep that fort alive. And that means that Hanzo and Yrel get a quicker rotation to mid and top to catch up. They're still a level down. They still don't have 13. But this push alone forced a lot out of Ballistix.
Not too bad, but still, they would love to get that fort down. They've been wanting to get that fort down for a second. Hold up as Yrel gets tossed, but Garrosh bursts down from all that damage. Look at that chain. Leeming does manage to get all that when
Dami's in serious danger. He has to leave, but this is a great opportunity for Ballistix to get a Dragon Knight.
Tempest is playing really off as their rotation. They thought they caught up in the rotation about as much, but they were still not 13, and they were not together, and they didn't have vision in that bush or near that bush. So even Garrosh can get blown up. There's a burst damage. We talked about the CC. Garrosh cannot escape alone.
No. And now, you know, this Dragon Knight with the top fort down, this wall nearly down from all the Leaming Orbs that we've been seeing so much on this map. I think people need to really consider a higher priority for this hero right now. It's so easy. Look at this. Oh, Dragon Knight draws you all over here, but you're not in a spot to protect against your cannon towers for Leaming damage. Sorry. SD's like, yeah, well, you thought you were safe here, but in fact, cannon towers are going down. Now you have to rotate down here, and I'm going to get this fort. The minion wave is with them.
They want to push the bottom one because their fort is damaged. They want to have the opposite pressure because they don't have any global. It's the best for them to actually push the bottom lane. The top one is so far, you have to make a longer rotation up there.
Definitely true.
And this is the first Dragon Knight, but we're already 10 minutes into the game. It's pretty strong compared to the ones you see before.
Very low, though, now after Good has had his way with it. I mean, he is doing a ton of damage, but they will get both forts with the help of Li Ming. SDE just maximum range.
Realdo's position herself right in there. A little far away, and they have to actually, if they want to go in, they have to manage to poke some damage in to Deckard, Phoenix, or Li Ming, which is really tough.
They don't really have much poke at all, so they have to force a fight where they don't get burst. Like, if anyone gets picked on Tempest, they're done. They have to have a fight otherwise. Lockdown does have his Ardent Defender here, so he can survive if this gets dicey. We're going to see a very early salvo here. If they're just trying to kill Good, and he is going to go down. The Scarlet Aegis is used.
Hanzo's not here. There was the arrow, but without Hanzo, without Raynor, there's no damage following up for Tempest. They are lost.
All Ballistix has to do is get one kill, and there's no way they can lose the fight from there. And Tempest is just allowing this to happen because they keep getting caught, split. Ballistix is going all the way in. What? Did that just happen?
Well,
did he just intentionally allow him to go back?
Come back stronger. That's what Jungha says. Two levels apart, giving him a chance here, okay, Wolf?
But when you kill someone on Tempest, then they don't have the power to sustain anymore. They don't have the way to make sure they can live to do the damage with Hanzo Raynor. And if Dami's in the base and everyone else is caught at the night camp, Ballistix is diving so deep, but they have the CC and the burst damage to back it up with Phoenix Li Ming. So you're always going to, if you get caught like Tempest is, lose someone and lose the fight.
Bad calls on where to fight and how they're fighting. That point, Deckard actually separated the team into two because of the roll and the Lornado. But Tempest thinking that they could actually have a chance to dive onto them. It was not the same case. If they're stuck together, White Main's in the cocoon all the time, who's going to heal you?
What is this? What is this? Lockdown is in serious trouble. He does not have Ardent Defender. They try to bait a fight with this potentially here. Scarlet Aegis.
Pretty bad focusing. Now onto Jungha, but cocoon onto Garrosh, so no extra CC. And they don't have peeling from Irel. Irel's all the way on the top, so which means that Raynor and Hanzo cannot do free damage. They have to be cautious of their positioning. So nothing is really coming together for Tempest. There's position-wise during team fight, it has never been this bad. I would actually say that.
I mean,
they look awfully bad with the positioning today.
Their coordination is just off, and now this is going to cost them a Dragon Knight because this is going to be a squat, and they just hold it. Get the Dragon Knight. Look at SDE. He's just dismounting everyone repeatedly over the wall. Now he's got this wave cleared, prepped it for the Dragon Knight. Bot keep is already at half health. They could easily finish that off, and then if they want to go for more, they can look for, if they get kills, core or maybe the mid keep. There's so much available here for Ballistix. Lockdown is playing this Urel as if he's a thrall, but in fact, he's not. He doesn't have that strong of initiation. If he does go in alone, they will turn on him and kill him. So it's very risky what he's trying to set up right now, but they're desperate right now. The keep will go down no matter what. What happens next is the most important part,
He's trusting on Sign to set up. Toss one at least to get a kill and then start a 5v4. That's the best. But he has been waiting here, not doing too much. They want to force a 5v4 when Phoenix is on Dragon Knight with less damage.
Yeah, unfortunately for Lockdown, you know, he can't do much to the Dragon Knight if he is just behind the wall. So I like the idea there, but it was never really going to amount to much. It might have actually been better off in the top lane. Speaking of that, we do have up in that top lane the Soak coming through. Hooligan is just making sure that they can get 20 faster. He's up here by himself. Anubrock can split soak pretty easily and actually push a little bit with his beetles. So now for the rest of the game, at least for the foreseeable future, with all 3 forts up, Ballistix has that bottom pressure with the catapults. And Tempest has been playing on the back foot. They have 0 kills in this game.
Final chance. They do have extra CC now. Well, starting from 13, but before Ballistix hits 20, I don't think they will open up a fight before that happens because they can just rotate the camp, maybe push mid and bottom after clearing the camp at the bottom.
I'm worried that they're going to get caught on this push because remember, there's so much CC on Ballistix side. You said it earlier from the draft. They get this wall, or sorry, this fort, but how much more do they really want to stay here? They have spell power reduction with this wizard, but I am concerned with Anubrock and Deckard. If they stay too long, they may just simply get wiped here, and that could be the game.
And Ballistix gives this up. Don't have to risk it. Tempest was calling for that.
Here we go.
They have all the poke. That impale.
I thought Lockdown was actually going to commit further there. I was really concerned. Cyan is in
They know.
a really good spot.
They know exactly where Cyan is. And they're not going to commit too hard. There's no reason. They're close to 20.
And they just fed them that bottom wave to get 20. So
Yeah, and meanwhile, the top was pushing. I believe it's about to do damage onto the wall now.
as soon as they see Lockdown up there, they know they could force a fight because they know he's missing and they have 20. So they could either push mid really hard or they can go for a bot push and force Tempest to Hearth home. They're going to go for mid. They're going to go for a straight invade here. Don't know about this. Advantage position-wise to Tempest, but they have 20. Here's the immediate charge through. Bunkers up.
Nice, Cocoon was blocked. But look at that.
Tommy is stuck. And STE! He's going to get the first kill. He's got a reset here. Everyone has to leave for Tempest.
And Lockdown stuck after the defender as well. He goes down as well. That's going to be the second one. Look at them. Ballistix all together with Tempest. They are all not in the same position where they actually want to.
Hyde and good are lucky they get hit by that salvo, but they're going to get hit by more than that. Good blocking the orb to protect Hyde here over the wall. Guarantees his safety. But this will be GG. This will be the Dragon Knight to end the core. 2 catapults stacked up in the bot lane. Okay, I spoke too soon. 1 died to the siege chance. But 1 catapult in the bot lane. And it is going to push with this Dragon Knight. The second one going to spawn very shortly. They could just head bottom and look to end this game. I see only realistic way for Tempest to win this fight, to survive, not win the game, but to survive, is through an amazing arrow followed up by Raynor being protected. But they have no sustainability without Urel having her heroic. Even though she's going to come back, she's not going to be able to do much without that Ardent Defender.
Still a very, very long cooldown. You have Garrosh back in 3, but this late game Dragon Knight does a ton to the core.
Good's looking to just kill SC here. He's trying for it. SC still has his passive shield, though. He doesn't even need to use it. He's in the bunker. Core's going to go down here. They use the Cocoon. Dami can't do damage. And Ballistix is going to win game number 1. Flying colors. Nearly a perfect game.
10-0 in kills. So in kills, that was a perfect game for them.
Yeah, had they kept that fort alive a little bit longer, would have actually been a perfect game, but it does not amount to that. As Ballistix dominates through CC and pick-based play, poor rotations from Tempest, poor positioning, and they just went so deep, like invading all the way to the bridge, invading to the night camp, and Lockdown was caught out of position, out of sorts so many times. It felt like Tempest didn't communicate vision correctly, didn't communicate where Ballistix was going.
I think Ballistix, when they opened up, even when Tempest opened up the team fight, let's go back to the draft and how this works as an interaction. They had White Mane to counter the Leaming damage so they don't get the kill. There's no reset. Then Tempest, if they fight longer, they can basically win the poking war, the long sustain war, because they have White Mane, the long damage from Raynor, Hanzo with peels. That's pretty scary. But they were able to cut down White Mane every single time, put her in the cocoon.
Yeah.
And who do you really have from Tempest to break that cocoon in a second?
You really
you
don't.
have a Leaming? No, you do not have a Leaming on your side.
You only have Dami's scatter arrows and good hoping for the best, trying to press W and knock it away. But yeah, I mean, I think that when you look at how they set up these fights, Ballistix really played this very well. And SC looked good on the Phoenix. It's been a while since he's played it. Again, he's got a good win rate on the hero, don't get me wrong, but he has avoided it so many times, so many crucial drafts, which have cost them critical games.
I think the tank pickup really in the front. Anubarak before the second ban phase by Ballistix was a smart move, taking that away from Sign as well, and really focusing all the bans. They banned Diablo, even Muradin, which is a very good idea. And Cocoon News was on the Garrosh, has been cancelled a few times, but when that white main's in there, you get no heals. And when you get no heals, you cannot have the DPS. They're pretty squishy compared to the other ones.
And when Garrosh isn't there to help peel, and he's in the Cocoon, and Li Ming is just killing the squishies who are out of position oftentimes, poor Dami, like, either was caught and killed or was so far away from the fight in order to be safe while the Cocoon was up that he wasn't doing damage anyways. If you kill someone in the beginning of the fight, it's over when these two drafts match up. If you don't kill someone, it's also over because Tempest will overpower you through the sustained damage you've been talking about. So, very smart drafts on both sides, but the execution of the rotations and the invades for Ballistix just totally, from start to finish, the only things that Tempest were able to sneak away were like the neutral camps they took. And they still didn't get the fort for the majority of the game.
Yeah, man, looking at all the characters, the heroes, Ballistix had a lot more ways to actually force a fight, initiate fight, literally toss them into a bad position with Wave of Force, cutting one down. But if you look at Tempest, unless someone's in a really bad position, like having Garrosh throwing Li Ming all the way in the back and killing her, which never happened because they were so focused, actually kept that distance really well. Unless that happened, Tempest had no chance of coming back, and they kept going like that in game one.
I think if they had, instead of either Reyna or Hanzo, a Thrall there, which was banned, of course, then the comp works so much better because you have big CC, you can deny that dive that's coming through from the Anubarak, for example, but they didn't have it. It was banned. They had a double 80 carry basically style draft where they're trying to use range damage to win the fight, but when you do that, you don't leave yourself a lot of escapes, don't leave yourself a lot of room to work with against such an aggressive dive comp. Basically dive.